Welcome everyone to the DigiFabster webinar, Customizing the Widget. My name is Abby Sandbach. I'm DigiFabster's marketing manager. Before we get started, I just want to point out that on the right-hand side of your screen is a questions panel. Please, if you have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to type in your question there and we will get to it. With that being said, I'm going to pass the baton over to our presenter, Michael Stoy. Michael, take it away.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Abby. So again, today what we'll be talking about is customizing the widget and how to get the most out of using the e-commerce widget. So if we can see our screen, should be able to right now. The main topics that we're going to focus on today are our white label solution overall. And with this, it'll be broken down into customizing the widget, how we can better brand the widget to fit your website, and then also the email template. So again, we can have this all customized, make it as easy as possible for shops to be able to order and set up their e-commerce widget. So far in all of our webinars, we've been focusing on starting out. So we're starting out as a new shop, we're figuring out how to market to customers, we're figuring out how to set up our pricing algorithms. Now that we have everything set up, we're ready for customers to order parts. So what I've done so far today is I created a dummy website. So this is our company, not a real company. And as you can see, I've already embedded the widget on it. So this widget is fully functional and it's our default widget that we have, but we have some problems and some ways that we can optimize this to make it better fit in with the website and how we can make it look like a truly white label tool to begin with. So the first big thing that's very apparent to everyone is we can see this bounding box around the widget. We do have the ability to customize the widget fully with CSS. What we'll start off by doing is we'll talk about some of the changes that I recommend and we can see how to set this up. So when it comes to CSS, what happens is we have shops send the CSS to us. We'll verify it. Once we verify that this no longer breaks any part of the widget or loses any functionality, we can upload it to your site. We've had some cases where customers have accidentally either hidden or deleted buttons, which prevent customers from checking out. So for that reason, all CSS is done by a DigiFabster staff member. So we can start off, the most basic thing to create this is to change the background color. So we can remove this gray box and we can make it white. So we can do this again with very simple CSS. And just like that, we now have a more white labeled solution. So it no longer looks like it's just an embedded image directly inside of our website. The next thing that I want to talk about is how we can match our company's logo. So as we can see, our Not a Real Company has blues, and by default the widget has green buttons and some blue buttons. So maybe this doesn't fit our aesthetic, and what we want to do is we want to change this. So what we can also do is we have a full list of CSS that a shop can change. So in theory you can change any CSS they want, but we do have a list where it can be as simple as copying and pasting and entering in the hex values of the colors that you want. So in this case, let's switch all of the colors over to a set of different blues. So what we can do is we can set this up. And now when we refresh the page, what happens is we now have our blue colors. So it's another step forward of making the widget feel like it's something that was a tool built for the shop from the ground up. So now we have everything set up, but we still have some things that we can always improve on. So let's look at the widget itself. So if we notice right here, we have our company header. So we have Not a Real Company, but we also have our logo here. And it doesn't make sense for most cases to have our logo on two different places. So what we can also do is fully hide the widget itself. We can hide the logo from the widget itself. So this way we only have our default logo from the top. So again, through CSS, we have the full ability to change this. And if anyone in the audience today has any questions about how we can help set this up, we can set this up with editing only one line of code. When we remove the widget, or when we remove the logo from the widget, we now have a fully white labeled solution. So again, it matches the company's logos, the company's colors, the company's branding, and it's seamless so we don't have any gray boxes or anything else around it. So this is what I highly recommend as the minimum for what every single shop should do. And now we can talk about some other things I'd recommend and some other things that can make it easier for end users to figure out and purchase for the correct materials and the correct things that they need for their parts. The first thing is, since we embedded this on the widget on a website as a widget through an iframe, We also have the ability to add anything else around the page. So typically, I highly don't recommend just keeping just a blank white page with our logo. But what we can do is we can have pictures of past examples. So in our previous webinars, we've been talking about marketing. If we're marketing to a specific industry, it would be great to have pictures of parts they've worked on for that industry, customer testimonials, and other things. So end users who are uploading to the site can learn a little bit about the shop, about their expertise, and they'll feel comfortable about ordering from you. The other thing that I always highly recommend is that what we can do is we can customize the widget even more. So let's actually hop into the widget and we can go a little bit more in depth. So what we can do is choose an impeller. And with this impeller, what we can do is go to the widget. And if you notice right here, we've changed the widget a bit. So if I zoom in a lot, what we can notice is that, let me zoom in a bit more so you can notice this, we've changed the material descriptions. So this is something that I highly recommend that a lot more shops implement. It's a great way to help direct customers to a certain technology. So what we can do is we can edit all technology descriptions with HTML. So we can have a description for how much the prices cost, the quantity, and the material strength as well. So it's a great way to, again, direct customers on what is the right technology, and we can try and make it as seamless as possible for customers to order parts and then pay to have them made. Some other things that we can do with CSS, the benefit of CSS is that we have the full ability to move things around. So we have some customers who can change the size of the material description and the material dropdown. What we can also do is change the layer thickness, filling, or anything else. So if you are familiar with CSS, and if you do want to modify it, you have the full ability to do so. So depending on your expertise, what we can do is we can offer something where you just choose your hex colors and make it as simple as that. Or we could go to as advanced as fully modifying the widget, moving different fields to other positions, and getting that full white labeled experience. So I'll open it up to questions. So if anyone does have questions about what we showed today, and maybe if you have questions about what would make ideal to allow customers to have the most easy experience going through the widget and what fully white labeling it for customers, please ask them at this time. In the meantime, what I'll do is I'll show an example of what a bad widget looks like. So this is modified, but it is based on a true widget that a customer of ours had. And what happened is if you do modify the widget, you always have the ability to accidentally break something. So what happens is we'll have someone from DigiFabster automatically go through. And when we go through, we'll verify that we still have the functionality. But this is just an example of why it's important to always keep track of it. If you're editing CSS, for example, in this case, we either deleted or we hid the upload button. So again, it's very flexible and we can modify in multiple different ways, but we also want to make sure that it is still functional for our customers. So we don't want to accidentally delete an upload button so customers can't check out. Currently not seeing any questions. Are there any that I'm missing, or is anyone still typing? Since I'm not seeing any right now, I'll quickly highlight again what are the main parts of changing the widget. So if we go back to the example, if we start off with the fresh install of the widget, what I highly recommend is what we should do is try and match the company's colors. So if we are switching to a white background or gray or any other color, highly recommend making it as seamless as possible. What we should also highly recommend is if we can change the colors along with the hex values to fully match the website. So again, we can be fully embedded in the website and have it fully customized to make it as seamless as possible. Then depending on the aesthetics, if we want to, we can hide logos, we can move around other features to fully customize it even more and make it look like you aren't using a DigiFabster widget at all. The next part of the widget that why I always like to bring this up is again, with DigiFabster, we have these tools to make it fully white labeled. And if we aren't using these tools to have it fully white labeled, what happens is you aren't getting the most out of your widget. And we really want shops to be able to optimize their workflow, make it as seamless as possible, and to allow as many customers to order parts as possible. So when we do have a tool that looks like an in-house tool, that's a lot more professional than if we just have a gray box with an upload button. It allows customers and it incentivizes more customers to upload parts. So this is something that I know a lot of our customers who are focused mainly on engineering overlook, but customizing the widget to match the website and match the flow of the website is a really powerful tool to, again, incentivize customers to order parts, which at the end of the day is what we're all trying to do. So now that we have a widget fully set up that we're happy with, what we can also do is look at email templates. So we have, again, this is part of our white labeling service. So the one thing that majority of our customers use is we can have all email domains come from your sender's email address. So instead of having emails come from hello@digifabster.com, we'll have them come from whatever email address you want to have all outgoing quotes come from. Again, it's a great way to white label your service, make it seem fully in-house so customers won't know that they're using DigiFabster at all. Besides just changing the sender's address, we have the full ability also to customize email addresses and emails templates themselves. So we can walk through some of the email templates, and with this we can show off how we can fully customize this to better improve the workflow for customers. So every single email that DigiFabster sends out to customers is fully laid out. We have them in Google Docs. So if you want to, you have the full ability to customize this, and with this we'll have it automatically update whenever we send out emails to customers. So you have different email templates for every single order status. So in this case, if this order is submitted, or if it's placed and has been waiting for review, or if we're sending tools through or emails through the internal quotation tool, we have the full ability to change that as well. With their email templates, shops have the full ability to customize whatever they want, and everything in yellow will also automatically be changed depending on the customer or the status of the email. So in this case, we can have it so the customer name will automatically be populated whenever the customer receives the email. So it's another great tool to automate DigiFabster. So all emails are automatically applied to customers, and we can even customize them again to fit the current emails that shops are using, or we can even match the colors, logos, and brandings that the shop's currently using. On top of just going through all the different email templates, something else that we've recently added is the full ability to also change when emails are sent out. So inside DigiFabster, we have multiple different statuses, and I'm fairly certain the majority of everyone in here is already familiar with them. But with our statuses, we have the ability for a shop to go in and change the status and notify the customer of what's going on. So if we go to our Orders tab of DigiFabster, what we can do is go to our most recent order, and we have our statuses. So right now this part is currently tagged as free from manufacturing and is currently tagged as unpaid. Whenever a status is updated, we by default automatically email the customer and let them know that their part's currently free from manufacturing in this case, or if we tag it as manufacturing, we'll now send them an email letting them know that their part's currently being manufactured. We have also the full ability to change this, so we can have it so when an order status change, maybe we won't send out an email to the customer. So it's very flexible depending on what shops want to send end users information. We have the full ability to control it. A typical use case for a shop who doesn't want to send as many emails to a customer, what we can do is we can send out emails when the part's currently free from manufacturing, when it's been manufactured, and when it's been shipped. So this is, again, a great way to notify customers of what's going on with their part and allow them to know what's going on with the production cycle, even if we don't want to let them know every single part of the production cycle. The benefit of using our order statuses inside DigiFabster also is that end users will also be able to fully understand and fully see what's going on with their order. So if we go back to our website, when the customer goes into their orders tab of the website, they'll automatically be able to track every single order, and they'll be able to see the status. So if it's been placed, if it's in manufacturing, or anything else. So it's a great way to allow customers to know exactly what's going on with the orders through the entire production cycle. And again, they can check either by emails, and we can automatically email them, or we can just update the status in here without actually emailing them as well. So depending on the workflow that shops want, it's a great way to customize it to better fit your needs. Are there any questions about either the email templates, more customization, or anything else that we can show to better white label DigiFabster and better make it your own? I know that a lot of shops have, by default, will just use the standard widget as it is, And that does work, but again, I highly recommend trying to modify it to match your website, make it a fully custom tool so end users won't even know that they're using a third party to get pricing for their parts. I'm still not seeing any questions come through. So what I can also talk about is how to embed the widget. So this is something that we have lots of questions on, and we have multiple different ways to embed the widget. And again, depending on your workflow, one way may be better than the other. So the standard workflow that we have is embedding it through an iframe, similar to this. So on our website, we can have it automatically on a page. So we can have our go to get a quote, and we'll automatically have the quote option. The other option that we can have is we can have it as a floating button, and this floating button will appear just in the bottom of the page. And to embed this on your website, it is as simple as going to your backend of DigiFabster, going to the install widget, and then copying this one line of code. So this is a script, so it'll automatically appear as a floating button on the bottom of your page. And similar to our instant quoter, it will be nearly identical, but instead of opening up an instant quote, it'll open up the e-commerce widget. And right there, customers would be able to upload their parts and get pricing in real time. The third option that we've had a lot more shops playing around with recently is having a subdomain. And the benefit of that is with a subdomain, we can have everything even fully white labeled. So even if a customer is trying to dig through the code to find a service provider or to see who is hosting the widget, they won't be able to find it. It will show up as it was fully developed by each printing company in-house. The other benefit of using the subdomain as opposed to the internal quotation tool, so we can automatically make it so all the documents, all the invoices, and everything else will be located on a URL linked right back to the company. So it's a great way to have an even higher level of white labeled service. And again, the point of the white labeled is to have that full hands-on experience where customers think they're going to a premium shop with their own built-in tool, as opposed to using a third-party tool to get this pricing. I'm not seeing any questions, so if anyone again has any questions, feel free to type them out in chat or in the question field yourselves. And then I'll give everyone a minute. If you do have any questions, please feel free to ask them and we'll start answering them. So we have a question that came in. So can we send customers a direct link to their order history so that they can see and track their order updates? So there is no way to view and send out order histories of customers. As a security concern, we don't want someone else to try and find the order history of someone else. So the best way to direct a customer, if they do want to see their order history, what we always recommend is they can go to their account and then their orders page. Inside of the orders page, they do have the full ability to track all of their orders. So it's built into the widget itself, but there's no direct link just this. And the reason for that is we don't host every single customer on their own URL, because then we'd have to worry about someone potentially getting access to someone else's URL. And we don't want anyone to be able to access anyone else's model or anyone else's intellectual property. So it's hosted to the widget. So once they log in, they can access their orders and only their orders. And then again, the other way always to keep track of orders is by using the emails. And with the emails, they can also search if the emails are from the outgoing email address of the printing company, and they can also track and see what the latest updates on for each of their orders as well. So if the customer does want to go through a website, they can go through the widget itself. Or if they prefer going through their email, they can always search for the emails there directly. Are there any other questions that people have about maybe orders or keeping track of orders for customers? So while we wait if any more questions come in, I can also show off, I talked about this a little bit earlier, about how to customize the widget and how we can change the colors and logos. So we do have a help article with this, which can be accessed through DigiFabster about the widget style customization. And again, if you want to customize it, it's fully ability to do so with CSS. And if you're not familiar with CSS, we have as simple as what you need to do is just change the hex values. So again, in our original example, the box, the outer background of the widget was gray. If we want to change it to white, we can just change this hex value, along with the upload buttons, the hover buttons, and all the different types of buttons on the widget. So even if you are not familiar with CSS, as long as you have the hex codes of the colors that you want to use, we can help set up and customize your widget to fit your needs and make it a fully white labeled solution. So here are just a couple more examples of some shops, what they've been able to do, and show off exactly how the widget works. Perfect. So I'm not seeing that there are any more questions. So before we end this webinar, I know it will be a slightly shorter one today. Wanted to mention, if you do have any questions about CSS, or if you just want to talk and discuss and figure out what is maybe the best way to brand your widget onto your website, please feel free to reach out to any of us at DigiFabster. We're here to help. And I know especially if maybe your area of specialties is focusing on the printing as opposed to the website or web development, we can help set up and make your widget as seamless as possible and make it so customers feel that they're getting that premium experience. Oh, I just saw one more message come in. So asking about how to change the settings to not send email statuses out to customers. So this is something that if you want to help set this up, please reach out to one of our DigiFabster staff members. This is something we will help set up for you. And the reason being for that is, again, we want to just verify and make sure that there isn't a problem where maybe we accidentally over remove messages or under remove messages. So what happens is, what I recommend is if you can send a example of when you want emails, we can send that over. So for example, if we want to say when an order has been placed, send an order email, and then when the order went from free for manufacturing to manufacturing, send an email. So if you provide the flow chart of when you want emails sent out to customers, we can update that and set that up for you. But currently shops cannot access that themselves. And it's again, we just want to make sure that we aren't losing functionality or we aren't overcorrecting from a shop. So just we guarantee that we'll have a second set of eyes on it and make it as seamless as possible for shops to be able to dictate when they want emails sent out and when they would prefer to have them held. The next question is it possible to allow the customer to change the units of their upload in the widget? So prior to uploading a part, the customer does have the ability to change the units of the model. However, once the model has been uploaded, we do not allow the customer to re-upload the unit of the widget, of the model for the widget. And the reason that we don't allow this is what we do is when we're analyzing the part, if it is, for example, an FDM part, we are automatically analyzing for support. And if we were to scale the part up from millimeters to inches, so by a factor of 25, we may need additional support in additional areas. So for this reason, there's some cases where if we were to scale the part up or down, they'll need new supports or different supports in different locations. So for that reason, whenever we are uploading and modifying the scale, we recommend that the customer re-uploads the part, and the reasoning behind this is so we can guarantee the most accurate pricing for the customers. Perfect. Well, I'll let anyone, if you have any more questions, feel free to ask them. But if not, thank you everyone for coming out to our webinar. I know it was a relatively short one today, but we just wanted to talk about more ways to optimize the widget and optimize your workflow to make it easier for customers to check out. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to myself directly or to use our instant messenger tool on our website, and one of us will be here to help out. I'm not seeing any more questions, so thank you everyone for coming out. Hope you have a great day, and I look forward to speaking with you next week. Have a good week.